It's the realization that he's a dog and his understanding of complex ideas of going to work and podcasting
It's not,
and
he
going
doesn't
to the
have to
bathroom.
understand the concept of podcasting. That's not
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay. So what are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that he has to get used to the fact that I'm like sitting here at this computer in this chair, not paying as much attention to just him. That's
Right.
what, yeah.
Isn't it interesting in how you can leave your house for 10 minutes or an hour, and when you come back home, your dog is just as excited, no matter the time frame. They're always
Well,
ex- they're always excited to see you.
yeah,
Right?
I mean, yeah, if you're
Yeah.
only gone for 10 minutes, they're still just as excited. It is
Yeah.
true. I left, I
Yeah.
went to the pot store, and when I came back, he was so fucking happy. I think he's relieved that it's not like me being gone for like an entire day. And I try to tell him that when I'm leaving too. Like, I'm not gone all day. I'm just going for like a minute. Like,
But I don't think they understand the difference between you gone for 8 hours and 10 minutes because,
not
like,
always, but I did read a study one time that said that the dog's heart rate is increased the longer you're away, more or less.
interesting. So they had a study about this.
I read a lot of different studies that said a lot of
Right.
contradictory things, you know.
But
So like, fuck it. But
I
it
love
said
that stuff.
that like, you know, the dog returns right back to where it was at, and that
Its heartbeat returns when you come
consciously
back.
they don't like know, you know, how long you've been gone really, but they are more heightened emotionally when you come back the longer you've been gone. That is what I read about that. Like, I read that is true.
It's
Um,
it's so interesting because we talk so much about Louis and Twixie all the time, and it's really interesting when you realize and again, this maybe like this is a stoner idea, but just how complex they are as creatures and how we as humans having them as pets, like we've had to learn how for each of us, like you learning how to take care of Louis's needs, knowing what he needs,
ugh.
right? And for example, with me figuring out like what Twixie needs and being able to take care of them. I think it's a really cool thing we as humans are able to take care of animals. Like we're there to take care of other creatures. Like we could help other creatures that can't help themselves.
It would be harder without, you know, the pre-made dog food and just things that are like made specifically for the
Look how
dog.
much you've done for that dog alone. The amount of walks, the amount of times that you figured out the types of toys that he likes, the places that he likes to
I have
go.
bought him way too much shit.
Way too
Like,
many bones.
yeah.
Way too many bones.
And he eats too much, and he eats my food too much too. Like, I'm like, dude, stop. Like, he had like his own like Christmas dinner. Like, it is, I'm like, dude, I don't know. He drinks purified water because somebody told me that there was like a bunch of chemicals in our water. And so I stopped drinking it. And I was like, well, I can't let him drink it. Like, what if he got cancer or something? I don't know.
Well, Twixie, she has this tendency where she'll try to eat spicy food, even though spicy food makes her very gassy and also will cause her to have diarrhea.
You're
But
not supposed to give animals spicy food.
I know that. I know that. And I try very, very carefully not to. Like, I make sure, especially when I'm eating spicy food, it goes straight into the sink or it goes straight into the garbage. But she has those moments where,
Oh.
like, she'll have those moments where, like, she'll stick out her hand and, like, put it into my bowl of food or something. And I'm just like, honey, I'm not giving it to you because I know this is not good for you. So this is. She doesn't understand that. Like, they don't understand that.
They don't know the difference. I know there's times when I eat things that are like spicy for dinner and he comes up like wanting a piece and I'm like, there's not a part of this that you can have, dude.
It's
Like,
really bad for their stomach.
Well, it's just like it's gonna freak him out. Like he's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like, "What the fuck?" You know? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You might think this is like really spicy, or you might not even know how to comprehend spice. But I don't know. It'd be funny if you and I had like a pet podcast, or like if our podcast was just about like animals or pets or some
Well,
shit. I feel like
the
that could
thing is,
work.
well, totally get, but we besides us being stoners and artists, I mean, you're a makeup artist, I'm a digital
Yeah.
artist and creator and content creator, and but we're also pet owners, and I think it's such an important part of ourselves and who we are as people because, I mean, they are a very big part of even this podcast. Like whoever's listening to this, Louie and Twix are a really important part. Like if you listen to the video version, like you listen or even watch the video versions, you'll see them pop up here in time to time. Like, but they're so
Yeah.
important in our life. I can't think of
Louis is a big
not
part of
talking
my
about
life.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Louis is a really big part of my life. Like, and I know for a lot of people, like, they have a dog and, like, their life goes on, but, like, for me, I bonded with Louis during, like, a really, really rough time, and so, like, we're, like, super bonded, and I sleep with him every night. He's, like, the sweetest. He's, like, a big snuggle bug. Like, he's just, like, right here. He's a little spoon.
I think
Yeah,
it's also
really, really connected to my dog.
And I think it's a really beautiful thing. We've talked about this, especially like when we've had our like stoner sessions, we've got really baked. I think I think one of the best things, especially like when I get home and I'm like really high and I'm just smoking a joint and I'm just relaxing, Twixie will like either play with her toys or she'll just like come and just like plop herself down like right next to me. And I look like Louis will do this, like, especially like when you're on your bed and like just like come there and just sit there.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I think he can tell that, like, I'm a little anxious at the moment, which is why, like, he's a little anxious at the moment. But, like, when I am really actually relaxed, he'll come and, like, lay down, you know? I mean, like, right now, he's just kind of, like, being a little butt. Here, hold on a minute. Look at things crazy.
You know where Twixie is? I sent you a picture earlier where she was. I actually have a blanket that I actually crochet, believe it or not. My mom taught me how to crochet, and I made this really big blanket. It took me like 2.5 years. I finished it a few months ago, and I have it over my couch. And Twixie, I have a couch as a sleeper sofa, so it pulls out to a full bed, and it has two cushions, and then there's two pillows. So the back, there's like no backing. The backing is just pillows. And I put this big blanket over, and Twixie loves just sitting on those pillows. She will sit in those pillows for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, doesn't matter. She'll just plop in those. And I will sit there just watching TV, and she's just right in front of me. You make an excellent point. Like, yeah, we're not an animal podcast for sure. Oh my god, there is Louie. Oh my god, there is Louie. But I think especially as stoners, and I think as we as artists, especially like when we're even talking, they're always a part of like the conversation, and they're always a part of our story. The thing I think that's so amazing about especially dogs and cats, we made dogs and cats
We made
thousands
them
of
as
years ago.
humans.
Yeah, we turned wolves and big cats into these little fluff monsters. Stuff in our homes.
We're obsessed with our fluff monsters.
Oh my god, yes. We made stickers, for God's sakes, about them, which you can buy on our website.
I am like still trying to get like situated. We haven't made a podcast for
2 weeks.
a few weeks, and I was like, I traveled home. It's just been kind of like my apartment has been kind of wild, but I feel like I've gotten a lot done, but it's been like a lot. I just feel like I haven't been home. I've started working on the weekends, and it's just I've just been going and going and going and going, and the summer's just like flying by. And my keyboard was dead. I think my mouse was dead. I haven't touched my computer, in like weeks. Are those sirens
Jesus.
coming from around here? I feel like it's just like perfect, Yeah. LA is chaos. I like the summer though. A lot of people are like, I'm so ready for Halloween. I'm so ready for fall.
I
I'm
just
like,
love how
ew.
I love how you threw in chaos and Los Angeles in the same sentence
That's it. That's
because
what I'm trying to explain. It's
yeah,
chaos.
they really are hand in hand, especially now. It's just whoa.
My mom, like, I was like telling her that she was like, did you make your candles? Because, like, I had like a big candle order,
I know you told me the rose candle order,
Yeah.
which was super
So
dope. Yeah.
I made a
Yes.
bunch of candles and I drove them down to Hollywood. And I was like, yeah, I drove the candles down to Hollywood. And she was like, don't go into the city.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's kind of just like what I got from her. I was like, oh shit, okay, well. And
Whoa.
she just said that it's really, really bad down in LA. And I was like, well, everything's fine. I was like, just, that I saw. I mean, I drove straight to Park La Brea, dropped it off, went straight back. Like, it was like, that's the thing. I'm like, well, what are people getting into? Like, it's like, I didn't get out of my car, just went straight there, like
People just need to get out of their people need to just get out of their heads, for a second. Just people shit on Florida all the time, Seriously, people
Yeah, they do.
shit. I live down here, and
I love it.
I love it. I love the atmosphere here. I love the environment. I love the people. I love the artists. I mean, hello, I just had Leah Simmons, which came out this past Thursday. Fucking fantastic artists and incredible
Yeah.
people. The thing is, people, like, you tell me this all the time. Just be in the moment, be in your own experience in your own life,
I'm trying.
of course, be smart. Don't be a dumbass, and go down a dark alleyway at 12:45 alone.
Yeah, I don't
That's a
know.
very dumb idea.
I
But
didn't take Louis. Like, usually I'll take him with me on little things,
I don't think that would
but
be a smart idea because he might
I don't
sprint
want
off or
to.
something.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not that he's gonna sprint off. It's just
Oh,
like
okay.
driving down there really late. Like, I was just like, I don't know. Sometimes I worry. More and more I worry. I don't want to take him on the freeway and stuff because, like, if I got in an accident, I don't want anything to happen to him. Like, it's like a nightmare of mine. So I like to take him everywhere with me, but I know that he's safe at home. You know
Do
what I
you
mean?
feel do you feel that is a possible reaction from being stoned and possible paranoia?
No.
No.
No,
No.
I think I just like it runs in my family to like imagine these worst case scenarios to protect yourself from bad things happening. I feel like
Wow.
that was taught to me. Was like, and there's times where like I imagine things that people could do that would be just like the ultimate like terrible way to ruin everything that I'm trying to do. There's moments where like I fear that like people will intentionally sabotage what I'm trying to do. Like, I don't know. It's really
Mm,
crazy. Like, but it's
yeah.
not even like people. Like, it's just like the moment could go this wrong. Like, I was taught to watch out for things.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Just my
For
mom's
sure.
voice was always like, yeah, but you could fall and it's na. Like it's
Right. Right.
like
Right.
it's
Right.
right
Right.
there. Like
Right.
I was taught to be like, oh, but if you do it that way, like it was just those kinds of things.
If anyone is ever curious as to why I am friends with Karissa, this is the reason. Because this gal has a way of honestly fascinating me at every single corner. You do. You fascinate me in every corner because whenever I could ask a simple question or we have a simple topic, you find a way, and because I don't understand your culture or your family at all. I don't come from that culture at
It's a
all. And
different culture, and people
I'm
act like
so
being white is,
fascinated.
like, no culture. I hate that. I'm like,
Oh my
"Nah."
God, there's so many white cultures. There's
The
so
other thing
many.
is that, like, my culture is different. Like, Midwestern, like, small town culture is different than, like, the culture of, like, white people in LA. Like, all white people are not the same. But, I mean, there's a lot of similarities. I'll give you that. But the small town kind of like upbringing that I had, I mean, some of the, like I've always said, like some of the people in my same hometown had a different cultural upbringing than I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I've brought that up
Okay. All right.
before. Like, I don't know, and like some of my friends, like their parents were like, like more like Middle Eastern and stuff like that, but like generations back. Like my one friend, like her grandparents are from Croatia. So like they still, but like it was a couple generations back, and like there wasn't like a large Croatian population, so they just like blended in with all the other white people instead of like keeping as much of their culture and like their people and that type of thing.
Right. And you know this because the way that I was raised in a primarily white Ashkenazi Jewish community in New York, and I'm not I'm not white. I'm mixed race. My mother is white, and my father is African. My father's from Morocco, so it's kind of weird because we've talked about this. Where my paradox was being part of a small minority community in a large majority community. Whereas like with you, it's like small town, kind of mix of interesting, different people coming across the way and fun stories throughout your childhood, like just cool experiences that you had. It
I
it's
relate
just
a
so different.
lot.
Yeah.
I relate a lot with
Really?
like with other, like there are some cultures that I relate with, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like when I hear like stories and stuff like that, like just because I'm from a small town. So like there's different cultures that like they have like kind of like a very very close knit, like, and a very personal, a very cultural, like specific way of handling things, and they're maybe very like conservative with the ways that they do things within their families or
Yeah.
something. I don't know if that's the right word, but
They're
like,
called some people call that Christian values.
but it's like it's not, I mean, it's not everybody's Christian, but, like, some people, like,
But you
I
know
can
what I
still
mean
relate
though.
with them. Like, me and you, I can relate, like, because, like, I also grew up with some ideas that were, like, on the strict side, and so did you. So, like, we can relate on that. Like, I
I
just
love I
yeah.
love I love when you ask me, remember that thing that was in the Old Testament? I
Yeah,
love
we
that.
always talk about the Old
I
Testament.
love that because I was raised as a Jew and we call it the Torah. And for, people that are of the Christian faith, they call it, the Bible, the New Testament and the Old Testament. And I'm always fascinated, like hearing another person's perspective, another culture. Like that's why I said this earlier. You fascinate the crap out of me because I never know what to expect. I'm always learning something new and interesting. That is really cool. It's
My
really
mom
cool.
just, like, told me this story about, I think it's what? It would be like the story of David, right? Like, and the
Which
coat?
story?
Well,
Oh
there's a lot
no
of
no no!
different stories.
That's with Joseph.
Joseph and the coat. So then what's the
Joseph, yeah.
story of David? David was a
David and Goliath. That's one
no,
story.
well, okay, who's the story? My mom just told me a story about the guy who, he was I have he's the youngest brother, and he was all the older brothers, like, killed him, more or less, but then he actually, like, they sold him off as a slave, and he ended up, like, working for the
You're talking about the story of Yosef. Yosef was the second to youngest.
second to youngest because he had another youngest
Yeah,
once he was gone.
Benjamin,
Yes,
yes, which was the
Benjamin, okay,
youngest.
this is the same story. Okay,
Yes.
so he ended up being, like, an assistant, to, like, the pharaoh. is
Correct.
what my mom tells me. And
Ramses. Yes.
yeah, so like she told me this whole story when we were at home. And it was really, really beautiful the way that she, like, I mean, she knows the story, that she tells it like verse for verse. It's like really, really beautiful. And at the same time that she tells it, she tells like kind of like why she thinks it's so beautiful, like at the same time that she's telling it, and kind of tells like the meaning behind the person's movements and their intentions and things like that. And it is interesting because he was treated so terribly, and then he in turn is put in a position where he's in charge of these people's well-being, and he takes pity on them, and he treats them with like forgiveness, and he takes the high road, I guess. He doesn't take revenge. He
Well,
actually.
there's. I wish I have a container full of books. I think there's actually the from the Old Testament, but I don't have it in front of me. The story of Yosef is really beautiful because when he was sold as a slave, he was made into a prisoner.
Yeah.
Okay, so oh, you know what? I have to bring it's a story of Potiphar. Just give me a sec. I'm gonna look this up. Just give me a minute, okay? Just keep on going. I'll be right back with you.
Well, my mother told me that they wanted to trick him, so they they dug a hole, and I don't know the whole story about how they tricked him, but they dug a hole and they covered it with like crisscross of like bamboo or hay or something like
I
that.
found it. I
He
found
fell
it.
through it. He fell into the hole, and that's like how they captured him. Then
Okay.
they took fake blood of an animal. Well, they took blood of an animal or something, and they put it on his clothes, and they brought it home to the father. And they said that he had been killed, but they actually like
Correct.
sold him.
Correct.
Yeah,
Do you
is
want to?
what mom told me. So I wonder, like how, I mean, the story is the same. I mean, obviously yours is the Torah is written but then translated, right?
Yeah,
You
but
know?
this is a really interesting. There was a painting, and then in Genesis 39-7.
But you
Okay,
don't call it Genesis, do
no, we
you?
don't. We so
What do you
it's
call it?
it would be in Bereshit. So Bereshis. It's the first book is called Bereshis.
Is it still broken up into the same categories as the Old Testament is, or is it totally introduced
Okay,
like differently?
so let me explain this to people that are
Because some
the
people don't even know what the Old Testament is and how
okay.
it's broken up.
So
You know?
the Old Testament is basically what we call the Torah. The
Yeah.
Torah is the book. There were 5 books of Moses, of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's what we call him. And those 5 books was passed down. Now, from those 5 books, there was Yehoshua, and Yehoshua wrote his book. So there's a book of prophets. There's the book of kings. This is what's
Yeah.
called the Old Testament. Now,
Romans.
these books were written over a span, I believe, of about 400 or 500 years altogether. About 600 years. That's what's considered the Old Testament. So kind of think of it as a lineage of history. That's what it is. It's a lineage of history.
Yeah.
The first book is kind of the beginning of the world. So I don't want to get into all to that, but that's what it
Well,
is. Yeah.
what do you guys think about and I know I can't ask you to speak for everything, but like
I'm speaking on my behalf. Yes.
what do you think of this whole, Noah and the ark? Cuz that's a shared story between both of our religions.
Yes. So I did some research on this, and there's an incredible writer. He's written many books on this, and he has a theory. It's called the Younger Dryas theory. And he believes that about 11,800, about 12,000 years ago, there was a terrible catastrophe that hit this earth. where these asteroids came and pretty much ended the Ice Age. That's how the Ice Age ended, and basically shattered the structure as we know it, caused massive floods, destroyed everything in its path, and basically destroyed civilization as we know it. Story of Noah and the Ark? Ring a bell? Does that story make any sense?
It's like it's possible.
Right. So if you look, there are tons, guys, I'm telling you, like, especially on TikTok now, we were talking about this. There's tons of people making videos of this stuff, so you don't even have to, like, go online and read stuff. You can just find it on TikTok.
I had thought that it was also possible that it was just, like, regional. You know what I mean? Like,
there are stories about Noah's Ark in Babylonian, all over the Mesopotamian region. There's stories about a man and a boat all over the place. I genuinely believe that what these people are talking about is somebody that survived these Atlantis civilizations about 12,000 years ago. They survived, and all that was left was hunter-gatherers. To them, this was a god, a god with a boat. Think about it. They were able to make a boat.
Water.
Yeah.
Just the massive, massive amounts of water, like forever and ever and ever.
Just think about
nearly a month and a half.
Just think about this, okay? The entire North American, almost up to the tip of like Texas. So all of Canada, all of that was just a sheet of ice that was over 7 miles high. So higher than the Marianas Trench.
Yeah.
Okay, which is the deepest depth that we know of on this planet right now, just 7 miles down. So it's probably, it's less. I think it was about like 4 or 5 miles. Just insane amount of ice. Imagine these asteroids coming from space. They're coming at speeds like plutonic levels, destroying this ice. Now this ice, giant avalanches, is crushing down on the ground, destroying massive amount of lands, pushing things up, hence Colorado Rockies and all of that.
So you think like God could come to this person and be like, hey, build this massive boat?
Maybe they envisioned that they needed to build a boat, and some of these people survived. And they sailed away, and that's how they told their story for thousands of years until the books started to be written, like the Bible, the Torah, stories from Babylon. Yeah, all of it. It's crazy. I love being high. Yes.
Yeah, they're fascinating stories. I mean, on the other hand, didn't you get a new tattoo?
Yes, I did. I got a...
How's it going? Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, dude, that's cool looking.
It's nice. It's a bee with a yin and yang in between its wings on its back.
Cool. How's it healing up?
It's healing up really nicely. Oh, she was a gentle tattoo artist, so like I could feel it. Like with the skin, like it's itchy, but it's not bad itchy. People have gotten tattoos, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you get one of those from a tattoo artist, it's like you're like for like 3 weeks. It's horrible. But
bring my
dude, I really appreciate really good artists that know their shit and they do a good job. That's all I'm asking for, Just do a good job, So I can walk out and be happy and be proud of like having your work. Another, you know what? This is a great thing to bring up, especially about culture and history, tattoos. Like tattoos have been such an important part of culture and history. People in idolatry, having that as a way of worship. People using tattoos to symbolize different parts of their life throughout Asian cultures. 2 sailors having fucking fun in the 1940s when bombs were coming over their heads.
Yeah, circus people, dancers.
Yeah, just having fun.
Tattoos, yeah. Soldiers. My grandfathers had a lot of tattoos from being in the war.
Bible.
Yeah.
Bible passages. It's funny.
No, none of them had any Bible passages, but I have seen people with the Bible passage tattoos.
The funniest, the funniest one I ever saw was I met a guy that he had a dragon. He got a dragon during the Nam War.
It doesn't sound the worst.
Yeah.
Why is that the funniest?
No, and I was like, why? And he's like, well, the only thing we can eat was noodles, and on the can was a dragon. So
Okay.
he didn't know what else to tell the guy, so he just points at the can at the noodles. The guy was Vietnamese. He didn't speak a word of English. The guy was tattooing him.
Okay.
Okay? So he just was like, bro, you see the can? Like, just kept pointing at the can. So the guy just drew the picture on the can.
And he got the
Got
was
that
it a
tattoo.
okay looking dragon or no?
I mean, it's a 40-year-old. It's okay.
It's weird. I remember the worst tattoo I've ever seen, but I can't remember what it was. I just remember where I was when I saw it. I was on the east side of Des Moines and I was with my friend Sammy, and we went over to like one of her friend's house to like pick up some drugs. I don't know if it was weed or if it was like something more fun than that. I don't remember.
Whoa, okay.
And I remember like looking down at the guy's ankle and being like, is that an actual tattoo? Like, I was like, that is the worst tattoo I have ever seen in my life. And like, and then I remember we like left, whatever, but like it was the worst tattoo ever. Like I think it was like a tattoo of like Towley, but it was just like a blue, Towley from like South Park?
Hold on.
It's like a towel. He's a blue towel with like arms and legs and like stoner eyes.
I need reference. Just give me a sec. Yeah, keep talking. You're doing good, honey.
I mean, I think so. Or I saw this and I'm replacing it with like, just like, it was like okay, so there was like a tattoo of
With
that
this?
towel. Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
But it was literally just a blue, like, rectangle with eyes and stripes. I don't know.
Why? What is wrong with you? Why would Okay, I told you this story when I was in high school. Okay, I had a friend, well, not a friend. He was an asshole. He had he had a tattoo on his butt cheek of a pineapple. Okay,
Yeah.
now I knew his friend. I used to talk with her here and there. Now he was cheating on her with her best friend, and she didn't know.
Aw.
Okay. Now, how did she figure out that her boyfriend was also sleeping with her best friend? They were talking one day, and her best friend just blurted out, yeah, like, this guy's super cute. He's kind of weird. He's got like a pineapple on his ass. And then they kind of like put two and two together, and they realized, holy shit, we're fucking the same person. And so I've always like remembered that story. And then recently I found out that pineapple tattooed on your butt cheek means you're a swinger. So for 16, 15 years, I was like, I had no idea until now.
Apparently it's a pineapple upside down.
I never looked at his butt cheek. He wasn't gay, as far as I knew. So I never saw the tattoo. I heard of the tattoo, but never saw the
I told you my mom was like, we're going on a cruise. My mom said
favorite rocket trip going.
My mom told me she was going on a cruise. And she was like, yeah, it's like the people that she went to high school with had planned it. And she was like invited and you could go or not, And so she was like, we're retired. We should go. And they don't hang out with all the people the whole time, but they kind of, like see them. And, people from the high school are like on the cruise or whatever. But it's not a cruise that my parents would normally like search out or whatever. My parents are going on like a Virgin cruise, and they're really, really nice or whatever. But my mom was like, well, I heard that there's a lot of partiers, on the cruise. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's,
Count me in.
I was like, that's the cruise that I want to go on.
Can we pre-order?
Yeah, I was
Do
like,
they
I
have
can't.
online check-in?
I was like, can I go?
Yeah, please.
Can you bring me?
Yeah.
I promise
Plus
I'll
one.
leave you alone unless you want me to hang out.
Like, we will sleep in the steerage. Just let us sleep in the steerage,
No, I'm
That's
not
all we
sleeping
ask.
there. I'll
Oh,
just
okay.
like sleep on like a, like one of those like folding chairs.
In the engine bay.
No, like I'll just like sleep like poolside, like on like a beach chair.
Do you realize how cold it? Do you understand how cold it is?
I'll sleep during the day.
Oh my god. Okay, good luck. Best of luck.
I have no idea. I'll be fine. I don't think
Anyway,
any of that's possible. Anyways,
yes.
she was telling me that they're going, and she was like, I hear there's a lot of partiers, and she's like, I was a little worried, but we're gonna have a good time. And I was like, oh, you'll be fine, just like go to dinner and do be up early in the morning and go to bed early, and you just hang around the areas that you like to hang around, like do some research, see what stuff you're interested on that's like, that's happening, and just stick to what you enjoy, and you'll find other people that enjoy what you enjoy. And she was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, what, you're gonna have a great time. She's like, yeah, we will. I'm like, okay. And she was like, well, I read that there's like these message boards where you can like read stuff and people share stuff, doing research about the cruise and which rooms are good, and what excursions to do and whatever else. And apparently somebody had shared that if you put an upside down pineapple on your door, like people buy like a magnet because the doors are like metal, I think. Or they buy just like a paper, and they stick it, or a sticker or something. Who knows? Whatever. And they stick a pineapple upside down to the front of their door. She says that means that they're a swinger. And other swingers will just walk right up to your door and knock on your door, or like if you've got a pineapple on your door, it's known that you guys are like welcoming to other couples. So, I mean, apparently the Virgin Cruises are just like people are just like hooking up like with other married couples, like quite a bit, or just, swinger couples. They don't have to be married, but you know what I mean.
Right.
If you're bored and you're married and you want to bang, apparently you should go together and swing on the
Yeah.
cruise.
It's like Candace, what, honey? We've been married for 20 years. I know. We need to go to Virgin Cruises. Why? I want to swing. Virgin Cruises.
I wonder
Swing
how
your
many
heart out.
people like give it a shot and it just doesn't really go very well,
I mean, they still do, believe it or not, they do poly tents out here. You know what a poly tent is?
I haven't heard the tent. But I mean, like, I know out at Burning Man there's the Orgy Dome. So I am
So they don't go that
familiar
far.
with structures where polyamorous things happen.
Yeah, so they don't they don't do orgy tents. More where they do like meetups, and stuff where like people come together and meet other people.
Well, it's kind of an orgy tent, but they're just not calling it that.
Right. They're like, you can have sex in the bathroom and nobody is looking, but remember, there are 400 other people in this Chick-fil-A right now.
At
Okay.
least go to the parking lot. Okay.
At least, right, behind the man in the G-Wagon that is definitely getting 7 miles per gallon with an eco-friendly sticker on the back.
Okay, you just dropped Chick-fil-A.
Yes, I did. Ba-ba.
Don't we usually air this on a Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of funny because Chick-fil-A would be closed.
Closed.
I
yes.
love to bring up to everyone that you're not able to get Chick-fil-A at this moment.
It's just a reminder.
Drive you crazy?
It's just a reminder that it's just chicken. And just remember, Everything's better at Popeyes. Got a Popeyes to stay.
Popeyes, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. There's a taco place back home that's always closed, I believe, on Mondays.
A Taco
And
Bell?
no, a taco place. It's called Tasty Tacos.
Okay, so it's just a random joint named Tasty Tacos.
They now have multiple
Locations?
locations. Yes.
Wow. Ooh,
They're
okay.
good. They okay, like have you ever like if you go to Taco Bell and you get like your tortilla like fluffy and like fried? You ever had that? I think my mom gets something called like a chalupa or something.
I've had a chalupa, but
Is it fluffy? Like it's like the shell is like fluffy, like it's been fried.
so I've had the Taco Bell version, which I'm not gonna lie, I was very stoned, very drunk, so I don't necessarily
I
remember.
know. I don't know what it is, but like the people who own Tasty Tacos are like authentic. I don't know who like what country specifically they're from. It doesn't matter, but it is their own food that they made up. I believe like they have Americanized it to an extent, but like it's authentic food. Like so it's not like a knockoff or anything or like Americanized like intensely. Like it's a family owned restaurant and it is damn good. Like
Just
everybody loves
just
that place.
j- just like for a frame of reference, and this is just how I realize this. How American is Iowa, may you ask? Simple. They are largely the responsible for most of the corn, I think pork production here in the United States. I was just like, bro.
Well, the people of Iowa are American because they live in Iowa, but there's people from all over the world and people who came from all over the world that live in Iowa. Quite a few of them, to be honest, at least in Des Moines. But, you know, I mean, like there's also like a lot of people who've always lived there.
It's such a different part of the United States. I mean, it's so weird. We've like jumped from pets to religion to culture to experiences and even more like places that we come from. It's just interesting, like with Iowa, because it's a place of American settlers. Like Americans settled to those areas of the US during the days of just horse and buggy and the days of railroad, all coming to this part of the country to build and create. Like there are a lot more farmers there are a lot more farmers out in states like Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Idaho, the Dakotas. Like, this is a breeding ground for those kind of people. I just love that. That's what the place gravitated towards, and you have that interesting mix of these people of we love this, but we want to try something else for our folks. Like you said, like it's small communities, people that know each other and just want to come together sometimes. Do you feel that? Do you miss that of just people coming together? Just having a gay old time.
I think that what I miss the most is like there's a lot less stress and pressure,
Ooh, okay.
and like things are just easier in general. And so then that doesn't put as much stress and pressure on everything that you're trying to do. Like every minute of your life is just like a little bit easier because you don't have that added like anxiety of what it's like to live out here. I'm really looking forward to moving away from California, though I love the weather and I love that we don't have, you know, a lot of different things. But it's like I just I'm looking forward to like living my life away from like the stress and pressure of Los Angeles at some point. And I always try to like point that out to people that like it's real. Like, it's nuts. I mean, I don't have to tell you. Like, I know what it's like to not live this way. And I know that it doesn't make any sense to live this way. And I don't deserve to.
It's so it's so interesting because we as people, one of the things that we connected so well to for so long were the stars. You know, when the sun went down, there's no light pollution, and you could see, you know, the Milky Way, and you could see all the stars, and things shooting and going all different places. The second we created electricity, we started creating light pollution. Now, when you look up to the sky, it's just black with maybe one or two specks if you're lucky. We lost the ability to connect to the universe even more than we do now. I think even for myself, it's just we're so disconnected. We're so disconnected as humans. We're so unlinked from nature. Like, I'm not trying to be a Buddhist monk right now, but we come from this planet. And I feel like for as long as the past 100 years has gone, we've tried to veer away from that as much as possible.
I think, like, if we're going to use technology for protection and self-expression, like, that's cool. But I do think that it's gotten a little out of control. I do wish that I could connect with nature more. I feel like that's, like we had said earlier, that's maybe why I enjoy my connection with my dog so much, is because it is a natural connection, like a
Natural
connection with
being.
nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that he's like a pug and he's been like bred over, like generations or whatever, but like I do, he's a natural connection that I have, and it is if I miss that, the real kind of connections, that kind of thing. And maybe that's why I enjoy, the puzzles. I do miss like
You love doing puzzles.
tangible
You do
tangible
really
shit.
you do really cool. You do Frank Lloyd Wright.
No one knows who Frank Lloyd Wright is, and
I
it
do.
you do, because I told you.
Yes,
Did
I'm
you
an
know who he was
artist.
before?
Of course. Honey, you're talking to
Yeah.
an artist. Like, we as an artist community, of course we know who Frank Lloyd Wright is.
Some people don't. Somebody was like, "Oh, that's like some really cool like 70s shit." And I was like, "It is the 20s."
20s, yeah.
And
Well,
maybe later at most. I don't really know,
no,
but
I think he started. I'll check. I think he started his work in the 1920s.
the ones that I
Let me
am doing
check.
right now, I know are from the 20s. I don't know
Yeah, they're
what you would say is
beautiful.
like
So
his. Let me
you
show
take
you.
his murals. What are those? Those murals or his paintings?
Okay, so this one is like a gift set, and it is like a box, and it has
Ooh,
4 sides. Can you even see it, or is it
yes, I
just like
can.
some big ugly glare? So this one, all 4 of them are based off of houses that he designed because he's
Oh,
an
interesting.
architect.
Right.
And he designed some house like this one I read about, so I'll actually talk about it. There's some house that he designed that's like over in Hollywood, and I want to go tour it, but I think it specifically is actually owned by someone. But then there's like 3 other houses.
Just bake them cookies, honey, and knock on their door and wear sunglasses.
Dude, they're probably so sick of people. But there are specific tours that happen of this house. And I think they offer up like a paid tour like
Do
twice
you,
a
do you
year.
do you remember the name of the house?
Well, it says it on here somewhere.
Sorry, I just need frame
This
of
one is
reference.
like he like I think he was like inspired by like Mayan architecture or
Yeah, so
something.
this is something I love that you brought this up. So, if you're curious, he as an architect was very much inspired by nature. He loved the use of
Yeah.
sun and water and rock, bringing those all of those elements together. Um, he really had a great way of bringing nature together.
Oh, Yeah, this one, the one that I was pointing at, is actually the Pasadena house.
That's what it's called? Let me check this up. Okay.
No, it's the Alice Millard
Alice
house.
Millard? Okay.
That's what it says, this one. That's the Pasadena house. And it says 1923.
Yeah. Okay.
He had just gotten back from Japan. I went and
Ooh.
I looked at pictures.
Oh, wow. Yeah. This is the one that was in Westworld. This was the
Oh,
one that
yeah.
was
I don't watch
inspired in.
that shit.
So in Westworld, I believe that they either used this or they were inspired by this house during the TV series. But I know this because I watched the. Oh wow, it's a beautiful home. Yeah, what it really looks like. It's called the the Millard House in Pasadena.
Okay.
It kind of looks like the Aztecs, as if they built a modern house
The
today.
Aztecs, yeah.
Yeah, they built a modern house today. Like imagine if you could go to the Aztecs civilization and see them flourish as they were, as an empire.
Yeah, it wasn't the Mayans, it was the
Yeah,
Aztecs. Yeah,
beautiful.
there's a lot of like repetitive stone structures that have this shape, and there were like a lot of like pillars, and like the sun is like the windows are on the side of the house that the sun will hit at a certain time, so that the sun bleeds down into, the room, and then the sun will move so that there's light in the dining room when you want to eat lunch. Like, it's crazy. Like, he really, I mean, I'm so happy that, an artist was given the time that they needed, because I feel like a lot of people these days are just kind of like, okay, I design the houses, I work, I go home, whatever. But at least this person, and I don't know how they got to do with the, something with such, detail, but they got to, and they were brilliant enough to figure it out. I feel like I could do something, you know, to this level of creativity, but I grew up in a world where I'd sit at a goddamn computer and schedule appointments. Like, honestly, like I could do something brilliant, and there's not shit to do. So, I mean, like, I continue to like go to school and like try and figure out a good place for
Being
myself to be.
being
But, an
successful,
artist like this is very inspiring, and I read about it and I'm like, I mean, like, this is incredible. Like, you created something that, I mean, to me, is very, very impressive. That's why I
right?
do the puzzles. So I finished that puzzle. That's the one that I finished, and it was really cool. So I have 3 more. But go on.
I'll keep on getting messages with the puzzles
I
being
do. I send you
slowly
pictures. I'm like,
finished.
see,
Yeah.
see, I
Yeah,
finished, or I'm
yeah.
like, I'm almost done.
Almost finished, or like a whole pile of just orange, and I'm just like, honey, I am too stoned for this. Please stop sending me
That's
these
the
messages.
perfect time.
Yeah, oh my god, it is. But it's also the best way of being an artist. Look, the reality is being a successful artist is really hard and it's very difficult. But thankfully, we do have the opportunities such as this to continue our craft. But it's really beautiful to still intake the creations of artists such as, because he is, people think of architects like, oh my god, they just design a house and a building and that's all they do. Some architects create the most beautiful structures. I've seen some architects even now that just the way that their use of glass and steel and wood, you know, what Frank Lloyd did with architecture is so much more possible now, especially for architects that are
That
looking
was a
for
long time
more.
ago.
Yeah. And look what he did then, you know? It's crazy.
He was like hired by people. There was a house in Hollywood that he was hired by someone to make, and it also is one of these houses or whatever. But there's also a house or two in Iowa that he made out there. People would hire him, and he'd
He
come
made
out.
1,000. He made
And he made a
1,000
lot of houses.
structures in his
They're
entire
all so
career.
unique. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. I don't know. I like that they're so unique.
You know what we should do? You know what? This should be a dream. Our dream should be that when you finish school, we rent an RV and we go check out all of the Frank Lloyd Wright houses.
So many of them are like you can't like go to them, like you
Okay,
know. But I
we could
want to
drive
go
by.
to. I want to go to a couple of them. You know,
We have
just
to go
in
to all of them.
general.
No, we have to go to all of them. We have to go to every single. We have to go to all 1,000.
I can't go to all of them at once, but I do think like you know,
Ooh.
you're making me think more and more like I should try to go to one of them. There was like a thing that I saw where you could like go on a tour, but it was like a whole bunch of money, but like they like drive you from one house to the next.
They better drive
which is
you in a
kind of fun.
Mercedes. They better drive you like either a Mercedes or a Bentley if they're charging over $100. You know.
They were charging
Yeah,
over
better be a Bentley.
$100.
Better be a
But
Bentley.
like if you look, like each house, its like entry fee can be anywhere from like 20 to like 60 or more dollars. So like spending, you know, like over $100 on like this like tour where they take you to like multiple ones is really neat. I personally don't need to cram them all into one day. Okay, like
you personally?
yeah, like it is like a thought that like I thought about where I was like, I really don't want to like I'd rather like savor them. I know this sounds like ridiculous a little bit, but like I would rather like tour one and then like that whole next week like think about it. You know, and then like let myself like crave like going to the next one instead of being like, today I saw all the Frank Lloyd Wright houses. Like, I don't know. Like, did I binge them or did I like? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either, honey. It's
a lot that they're gonna like drive people to like all of them in one day. Like they'll like drive you to Pasadena, they'll drive you here. Like if you were like drinking, it'd be really cool. If I'd already seen them all, it would be really cool. But I feel like with their like initial reveal, I'd like to like, you know. I think there's one somewhere else that is like uber fucking famous that I always see a picture of, and it has like a waterfall, and it is like there's like a room that's kind of like hanging over like a little creek with like a waterfall, and everybody like goes to see it. And I've never been to it, and it's like the most commonly visited one, you know, and I don't even know the fucking name of it. That's what a great fan I am. But I'm a puzzle person, and these are the puzzles that I got into because they're at like art stores and they're kind of like collecty.
Right, and artsy
and they have like
chic.
weird colors. They're this shit is trippy as fuck to try and like figure out because it's like repetitive in ways.
You better believe
like,
it, sister.
I don't know.
Oh my god, just look at that. Just imagine that too. Remember how many lavender, for just description purposes, lavender and yellow pieces you have to put together to make this substructure. Well, I just have to say this, Karissa. From puppies to religion to opinions to our definite love of arts and crafts and puzzles and Frank Lloyd Wright. It's been wild.
It's a good one.
Yes. Well, listen, if you've reached this end, we really appreciate y'all. If you could leave us a review, that'd be great. Leave it one on Apple Podcasts, and you know where to find us at Lost in the Groove Pod. Guess we'll catch you in the next one.
Get lost.
Get lost.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did I not
Okay,
end this
sweet.
yet? Oh my god.